Greetings, people of YouTube! With the next Worst SpongeBob Countdown on the way, I've decided to provide you guys with a more in-depth look at the show's single greatest letdown, Atlantis Squarepantis. I mentioned a few points about this quote-unquote movie in my original countdown, but there are so many things wrong with this atrocity that I had to give it a full critique. Steel your nerves, ladies and gentlemen, we're taking down this sea demon. Like most all SpongeBob specials, it begins with a comedy sketch featuring Patchy the Pirate, who's currently stuck in traffic while life's being a bitch to him.
Do you mind? I'm trying to talk to my parrot!
Take a nice long look at this guy's face. That's as funny as this movie's gonna get. Once he gets through the traffic, Patchy returns home only to find Encino has vanished off the face of the earth.
You know, kids, this kind of reminds Patchy of an old story. Another story about a lost city. Why don't you check it out?
So, even though he hasn't seen the new SpongeBob special yet, he knows exactly what's going to happen. That's a good sign. The movie hasn't even started yet, and already there's a plot hole. Anyway, the story opens with SpongeBob blowing bubbles while Patrick tries to take pictures of them.
I missed it again!
Hold on a second, Patrick. It's not the poor camera's fault you can't get a photo. It is the very nature of the fragile bubble.
It is?
Allow me to demonstrate. The sun must set
Did that really call for a musical number?
day, and the curtain must fall.
I'll admit this song has some nice instrumentals, but the lyrics get stale pretty quickly.
Christmas Day, it doesn't seem to stay, or a cheese souffle.
Yes, all things must come to an end. We didn't need a whole song to tell us that. SpongeBob's bubble blowing lands the two of them in a cave, where they come across a mysterious object. Unsure of what it is, they decide to take it to the Bikini Bottom Museum, where they discover the object is the missing half of a legendary amulet.
These two chowder brains found the missing half of the amulet.
The Amulet of Atlantis? Legend says when the two halves are joined, the path to Atlantis is opened.
For the convenience of the writers, all our stars just so happen to be at the museum to witness this. And even more so, Atlantis just so happens to house all their favorite things. Riches for Krabs, art for Squidward, science for Sandy, and for SpongeBob and Patrick, the world's oldest living bubble. That's right, our heroes are going to a legendary city to see a bubble.
That's stupid.
Upon restoring the amulet, a van drops out of the sky and sets course for Atlantis. Or rather, the true hellishness of this movie.
Well, holly wolly ding dang do! Would you look at that?
Hurt CG! Yes, this is one of those specials. One that substitutes visual effects for actual substance. Not only is the design totally bland, but the characters look completely out of place here. You can practically see them pasted to the storyboard. But that's not the worst this van has to offer. Apparently it has no fuel and it doesn't take regular gas. So, what does it take?
We Atlanteans find the use of fossil fuels to be counterintuitive and have developed an alternative source we call song.
What?
Let us commence singing.
Is this some kind of joke?
Unfortunately, no. The path to Atlantis is fueled by singing. None was lamer to cram a crappy song into a movie than this. How crappy is it? Well, listen.
Sing? Sing a song? A song of wanting to move along. A bubble I long for, that so eludes, but soon enough I will see.
Well, that's just splendid, boy, and that's where it makes money more than you.
Unlike the Bubble song, the music here is all over the place. And the lyrics? Mind-numbing. Remember this little gem from my top 20 worst episodes?
With all their advanced science and my painfully enlarged mind, I bet we can figure out how to make wondrous things, like melons with edible rinds.
What helps make this song so bad is that its only purpose is to be a deus ex machina. It doesn't further the story in any way. It's just the characters singing about what their favorite things are, which I'm pretty sure we made clear 2 minutes ago. Squidward loves art, Mr. Krabs loves money, Plankton loves destruction, Sandy loves— wait a minute! Plankton? When did he show up?
To be your friends.
Such a valiant desire.
I'm not kidding. That's the first time we see him. No rhyme or reason. Well, actually, there is a reason. It's to introduce us to a subplot that will go nowhere. The song ends when the writers finally run out of lyrics and the van crash lands inside the walls of Atlantis. Here we are introduced to the ruler of Atlantis, who, oddly enough, is not King Neptune. Instead we have, what the hell?
I am the Lord Royal Highness, but my friends call me LRH.
First off, of all the utterly generic names they could have chosen for this guy, they chose the absolute worst. Second, who the hell designed him? It's like they just threw the Blue Meanie and Mark Chang in a blender. And he is also voiced by David Bowie. Well, that's another celebrity this show has tarnished. At least his voice is the most pleasant to listen to. The other characters are usually just bitching about something.
When do we get to see the treasure?
But of course, follow me.
Anyway, Lord Royal Highness begins to give the gang a tour of the city while Plankton, remember him, plans to commandeer the Atlantean armory. He starts off by escaping the van through the exhaust pipe. How convenient that the van that runs on song needs an exhaust pipe. Hello? But to hell with the subplot, we have a main plot to rip apart. The tour leads our heroes to the city's treasury, which of course has Krabs jizzing himself. So what interesting adventure could they have here?
So help yourself to as much as your pockets can carry.
As much as me pockets can carry? Oh, if I'd only known when I woke up today.
Oh nice, another fucking song. And this one's even more pointless than the last one. It's nothing but Mr. Krabs singing about how much he loves money. Yeah, that hasn't been apparent since episode 1. Why don't you just throw in the song from Money Talks while you're at it? Once that's over, Mr. Krabs stays behind while the others continue the tour. Their next stop is the Atlantean Hall of Science. Oh boy, I hope there's something creative behind that light.
Popping acorns! Look at all this high-tech gear!
I didn't realize Play-Doh sculptures were so advanced.
This grand machine allows the user to be broken down to nanostature, enabling them to battle germs hand to hand.
Finally, a promising concept. There may be a little hope yet. SpongeBob preemptively activates the machine and gets stuck inside. Alright, we're finally gonna get some action. What disease are they fighting?
It looks like our scientists were working on a very aggressive case of the sniffles.
Not abandoning all hope just yet. Patrick and Squidward end up inside as well, where they face the unspeakable horror of... Look, creators, we're not asking much of you. Please just show us a little creativity, maybe a half-decent battle scene.
Hold on, fellas! I'll be there soon as I send these critters to their doom!
Not like that! Not like that!
Look out, germs! The end is near!
The dumped. Can this movie get anything right? Randomly inserting video game references into a song doesn't make it clever. You have to do something with it. God, these songs just keep getting lazier.
Y'all head out without me.
I knew I'd get stuck with you yahoos the longest.
Oh, what a beautiful sight!
What? Are you serious? That was literally 20 seconds without a song.
How do I pick? Which one will do the trick?
I would like to say this is a decent tune, but again, whereas the music has some appeal, the lyrics murder it.
That one would surely give them the blues. And this one here matches my shoes.
You don't even... Forget it. Back to the so-called story. This time, Squidward suggests they see some real Atlantean culture, which leads them to, you guessed it,
The Hall of Arts.
Incredible.
I don't see what makes this art so great. Most of it is famous paintings that are already well known.
It looks like you could step straight into it.
And you can!
Oh, that's the catch. Still not impressed. Just look what game my avatar's in.
Isn't this great? Isn't this neat?
No and no. All they've done here is shopped Squidward into a bunch of famous paintings. Putting characters into this kind of scenario could lead to something witty, but not here. They decided to make another boring song out of it. You know, because we haven't had enough of those yet.
You guys, go on ahead.
This tour has been great and all, but can we see the bubble now?
Yes. We finally get to hear a little more about this damn bubble they've been building up to.
This bubble is over 1 million years old. It was brought here when the first Atlanteans colonized this place. deftly hand-carried over billions of light years from our home planet.
Let me get this straight. The Atlanteans are an alien colony that left their home planet for no given reason, traveled on foot through the void of space over billions of light years for the sake of a bubble?
Makes perfect sense.
Upon seeing the bubble, SpongeBob and Patrick immediately rush over to get a closer look. LRH tells them to be careful, as the bubble is, for whatever reason, their most important and beloved relic.
Join us in the dining hall when you've had an eyeful.
Thank you, Mr. Lord Royal Highness, sir.
I'll give you one guess where this scene goes. Wait, is this supposed to be a callback to the beginning of the movie? Because the bubbles were popping before the camera went off. So this twist makes no sense, much like the rest of this pathetic excuse for a movie. On top of that, SpongeBob and Patrick arrive at dinner to learn that the bubble they popped wasn't the actual oldest bubble.
This is the real deal.
You guys are retarded.
Cue the world's worst royal god! This fight scene may have been mildly entertaining had it not been for a couple things. One, the Atlantean army poses no threat, as their weapons don't do crap. Two, Sandy is the one that does all the fighting. Come on, SpongeBob knows karate, Patrick can brawl, and Mr. Krabs was a Navy champion. It saddens me to see characters that could hold their own reduced to uninspired props. Oh, thank God the climax is here. Let's finish off this movie already. Oh, right. They have to show us what Patchy's up to first. Apparently, he's now out of water and is starting to hallucinate.
Patchy.
Say hello to this evening's nightmare, folks.
But Encino is gone.
It's not gone. If you believe.
Alright, enough Patchy filler. Get on with the climax.
Welcome to Encino! It's back!
Are you fucking kidding? The Patchy plot has a song too? Why? Nothing important here, moving on. For the climax, Plankton shows up in this monstrous tank and prepares to destroy them all.
Taste my wrath!
Launch sequence deployed.
Ice cream? It shoots ice cream!
I'd be more pissed off about this being anticlimactic, but I had already seen this coming since this scene was shown in the commercials! So Plankton ends up taking the heat for SpongeBob and Patrick's fuck-up and is used as a replacement relic for the bubble. Boy, if they rebounded that fast, I guess the bubble they bothered dragging billions of light years to Earth wasn't that damn important after all. Once the gang boards the van home, Lord Royal Highness makes the one smart move in this movie and orders the amulet disposed of. Thank God, no sequel. And for our thrilling conclusion, we have one last song to endure. SpongeBob rattles off facts we already know, and the others just cry about it.
Goodbye.
What an unpleasant way to end an unpleasant movie.
There's no place like
There's no place like Atlantis!
wait to get home.
And so the band rides off into the distance, and that's it. The end. Wait a minute, we need to find out what happened to Encino. Is this ending as stupid as the actual ending? Well, let's see. It turns out Encino was accidentally shrunk by 3 alien turds. Ah, screw it! They rip off Wizard of Oz, turn Encino back to normal, and Potty the somehow giant parrot steps on Patchy. The end! Thus concludes my review on what I believe is the worst episode of SpongeBob ever made. This movie had some very promising concepts, but the horrendous execution killed any and all potential. First off, the humor, practically non-existent. The plot was not only bland and uncreative, but it was also nonsensical at the worst of times. The phoned-in Plankton subplot contributed absolutely nothing, but the real ball kicker about this episode was that it was a goddamn musical. The tons of advertisements for this movie promised an exciting Atlantean adventure, nowhere indicating a musical. so people were pretty disappointed to find that this mostly just ripped off Willy Wonka. To add insult to injury, the songs were outright generic and more often than not pointless filler. Now I'd like to point out that this movie had 4 writers, 2 of which were also directors. 4 writers, and this was the best they could come up with. Inexcusable. Now, I feel some of you have been thinking, but SpongeBob is for kids. Hold on a second. By the time this movie aired, SpongeBob had a very large adult following. In fact, of the 64.5 million viewers who watched this movie premiere, almost half of them were 18 or older. So they basically screwed over almost half their audience. This movie is one of the prime examples of how bad the show has become. And as you can see by the specials that follow, they did not learn from this. But those are stories for another day. Thanks for watching, everyone. Tune in soon for the fan edition of the top 20 worst SpongeBob episodes. Sincerely, MoBrosStudios.